Manage Comics. Coming to you from a secret underground lair, these dedicated heroes discuss the business of comics, industry news, comic book retail issues, and the latest developments from Manage Comics. They are promoters of comics, champions of small business, and four-color heroes. They are the Manage Comics team.
Welcome, everyone. I am Brian, and I'm your host for this exciting next 30 minutes, 40 minutes, hour. We'll see how long it takes and how much we get through. But I want to welcome everyone here. We got 32 people in here already. We've got Owen Lambert from Rainy UK. We got Christina Strong from Stronghold Collectibles. We got Paul from Need a Hero. Good to see you, Paul. I actually visited Paul a couple weeks ago. We have Pulp Fiction. That must probably be Ryan. We've got Dragon's Lair, Comic Card. So many people. Hello to all of you. I hope, John, hello. Donald Myers. Wow. So many people. This is awesome. So I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to get right to things. And I just realized I actually have to share a screen. There we go. Okay, so here we go. Let's get right to things. Quick rundown before we get through things. And if you have questions, please ask them in the chat and we will get back to you as soon as I can. So I'm going to definitely be keeping an eye on the chat. As it's just me on this, I'm used to running with a co-host lately because I've been doing a lot of Comic Industry Insiders live. So this is going to be fun to run the board and run the presentation and read comments all at the same time. I'm going to be busy. Craig Oliphant is my partner in crime, and he's in there. So if you guys have questions, ask him, and he will make sure that I see them. Craig, if you find anything that I need to know, ask me in Slack, and then I will keep an eye on that. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the multi-location launch for Manage Comics Ordo, which is what we're calling the Shopify version. We're going to talk a little bit about the Oryx launch and what our adoption rates kind of look like right now. Q&A, so if you've got questions, ask them at any time. We have a ton of new help content that we'll start to talk about. A new website that we're working on that Craig's actually doing a ton of work for, and a sneak peek at something very special. So let's start out with some news. We're still continuing to have a number of Diamond UK woes. The product challenges have gotten worse because they are no longer providing series codes. So we have our own internal series code tool, and I'm not worried about that. What I am concerned about is that some of the Rebellion product and things that they get exclusively, we don't have any series codes for. So we're going to actually work on talking to them. I've got a couple of really good contacts at Diamond UK, and we'll talk to them about possibly helping them make their data better. We have all the tools built in, so if we can, somehow help them augment their data, we'll do it. I went to Montreal I think it was earlier in mid or late August. I met a bunch of our partners. I visited a ton of shops. I think I went to 12 shops. I went to Need a Hero in Bellevue. It's one of the Bells. I visited BD Cosmos, who I believe is in Laval, not actually Montreal. And then I went to a bunch of other shops while I was there, which was really cool. I had a chance to go and visit Universal at their offices and sit down with Alessandro and Angelo and talk about a bunch of stuff. But really, it was centered around data and getting their data. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. And then I met with the folks at Lightspeed. So we had a great opportunity to chat about kind of our plans with Lightspeed and where we're going. And I'm really excited about that stuff as well. With Universal, we're working to create dedicated distribution items for each Universal product. We're going to focus on comics right now, although they have said like we'd like to get everything in. It's just there's a lot of kind of restrictions and geo restrictions around specific product lines. So right now we're going to start with their comics, and we're going to right now we kind of fake a distribution for them. This will give us a lot more accuracy. So if their FOC dates happen to be a day earlier than what our PRH or lunar dates are, this will help us get that information and be able to turn off FOCs earlier and stuff like that. I'm expecting this very soon. Alessandro has a ton of work on his plate, including Alliance distribution, which they've taken over. So yeah, he's got a lot of stuff going on. Multi-location, let's talk a little bit about it. So what took so long? It took 7.5 months to launch it. It was complex, had a lot of code. We ended up launching a little earlier than I would have liked because we had some Shopify API things that we absolutely positively had to do, which means that we launched it without full help documentation, which I hate. I'll talk about our help stuff in a bit, but it's under a bit of flux. So I'm really struggling to kind of keep up with things. We had a lot of tiny little things that popped up during that time, including multiple API updates we had to do. And this needed the most testing ever. Our data guy, Max, went through every single page forever. Owen, I'm going to say this as kindly as I can. I do not want to see help tickets in this discussion. You know how to get help stuff in. Send it to help@managedcomics.com. Do not send it by Facebook. Do not send it by YouTube. I see your problem here. I can't do anything about it right now while I'm talking. I'm going to forget it by the end of this conversation. I don't mean to be cruel. I don't mean to be mean. I don't mean to be condescending. But the number of places people are sending help tickets when they have to go to help@managedcomics.com. They just have to. Otherwise, there's no way to track it. So I understand that you're having problems. Please send it. Is everybody else hearing me? I believe that I can be heard. That would be concerning. Craig, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, good. Jamie, I think that might be a you, not an us. Yeah, so this thing needed a ton of testing as well. So let's jump in and take a look at what multi-location looks like and what we can do with it. Did I close that other? Oh, thank goodness. Did I close my other window? I think in order to do this, I'm going to actually have to present something different. Here we go. All right, so this is multi-location, and basically the big difference between this and a regular site is in the settings, locations. We now have different locations. So you can add more locations. Each additional location will cost you $70. The first one costs you $90. So you have to update your subscription to add new locations. You can also remove inactive locations, and this will tell you when you have more locations than you need. On locations, you can change specific things like, your shipping stuff, your monthly shipping, biweekly and weekly, hiding ratios and stuff. That is per location, and you're going to change your locations in the top here. Publishers, publishers are also per location. Product types are per location. So if you want to hide certain product types, you can on your location. And emails are also per location. So every single location is going to have a different email setup as well. And then we can edit our locations. Now, general settings are general to the entire company. I guess we should probably do some information about this, about which ones are for the whole company and which ones are not. And then you also have to set your default location, which is the default location Shopify will send stock to if it doesn't have a location for something. Discount rates are also going to be across the entire enterprise and not specific. And the reason for that is because these are kind of global settings that we have to send over consistently. So yeah, that is going to mean that if you have like one location in Canada, one location in the United States, you would have to treat them separately. Maybe that's not the best way to do it right now, but we don't really have that problem. So we tend not to code for solutions that we don't have. So if we have that at some point, we will deal with it. Dragon's Lair says no audio, but we have many people that say we do hear you. So I'm not sure why you're not hearing me, Dragon's Lair. I assure you my voice is working. I am talking. When it comes to actually our customer facing stuff, you will go to your different, you can go to your different locations and see customers that are specific to those locations. You've probably noticed this new feature recently. So what this does is it allows you to approve new customers or decline them. And so once I've approved them, now this page will refresh with all of my subscribers. And the next time I come back here, I'll be on all the subscribers. So if you change to a location where you currently have like new pending customers like Old South does, you'll have to go through that new process before you get out of here. But you'll see that on multi-store and regular. Yeah, we can go ahead and edit a customer as per usual. And then we're going to move customers from this location. So we can move a customer from one location to another. On the front end, customers choose their location and they can modify their location in their system settings. We may have to add some adjustment to the location stuff so that you can approve and deny customers. But for now, that's what we have. That's roughly, I mean, everything else is just like, instead of just having a shortages, I have a shortages per location. We changed the header color to let you know which location you're in, and then change the little blurb over here, which is based off what your settings are. But again, everything basically does the exact same thing. It's just when you're in that location, you're now affecting that location. You can also look at things for other locations and all locations. So if I want to see all the locations, lunar orders for September, never mind, because I haven't updated September data in our QA environment. That would show you all of the items available, or you can go individual locations. Check-ins are per location. This is super important because the products get checked into the location that is associated with them. So way back in our settings here, we do have location settings, which this is the Shopify location. So you have to make sure that these things are matched up to your location name, and you'll be good to go. That's roughly multi-location in a nutshell. We are working on multi-location specific help. We'll get to that a little bit later when we talk about our help system and what's going on with that. But let's get back to our, no, you're not supposed to see that. Let's get back to our presentation. So I normally do this by, there it is. I normally do this by using a PDF, which then can use StreamYard's built-in stuff. And I didn't do it that way this week. I thought it would be cooler to use Keynote, but apparently I was wrong. So what's up for Ordo? Let's talk a little bit, first of all, about the names. So Manage Comics for Shopify, which we internally call Manage Comics for Shopify, but technically I'm not allowed to market that way. Shopify won't allow us to use their name in any of our marketing materials. So we call it Managed Comics Ordo. And our new system is called Managed Comics Oryx. So Ordo is Managed Comics for Shopify. Whenever you hear that, just think Managed Comics for Shopify. What is next for it? So it's not going away. We have over 250 stores that currently use Ordo. Not going away. Development continues. It is harder to build for it than Oryx. But what does that really mean? It means that some features are probably going to show up in Oryx before they appear in Ordo, just because we can get them done quicker and then make sure that we can validate them and then do them in Ordo. But honestly, that has not been the case so far. So far, all of the new things that we've added to Ordo and then kind of backfilled them in Oryx. So we do have to do a lot of work on the help side of things. We need a full onboarding guide for multi-store and that kind of stuff. We have a ton of development plans. So this is our current backlog. You'll see that the ready I actually couldn't fit on the screen. It's like 50 different items. A lot of them are simple bug fixes that happen during the promotion, but there's a ton of like new stuff on here. Things like pull emails with variables. So we now have variables in the subject and you can put them in different areas of the actual body of the email. And then when you change your start date, it will actually change those dates all around. So that I think will make things a little more simplified and stop you from like kind of retyping the date in 1,000 times if you change the date. What do we think of set it and forget it pulls emails? So by this, I mean, the reason we never went with set it and forget it for the Shopify version was because most people don't always get all their stuff by Wednesdays. And I don't know if that's still true. That was true at the time when we launched, but it's not necessarily true now. So I am thinking about kind of a setting that would say, unless I stop this, send a pull email out every Wednesday for the items in the last 7 days. Love to hear in the comments what you guys think, if you think that's a good or bad idea. Personally, with my store, I forget this every time. And so I don't think I've actually sent one in like 3 months. It should just be part of my processes, but I don't remember it. All my check-ins are done by like Tuesday. So I don't really need to babysit this thing. And what I'd love to do is like have basically a template that can change every week. So you could update that on Monday or Sunday or Saturday. And then the next time it goes out, it would be updated. Comic Carnival, it's always better to have options. True, but options also introduce problems. The more options we create, the more problems that we also create, unfortunately. So we try and do the simplest thing around here, because having a bajillion options just ends up billing you a product that's honestly impossible to maintain. And we also try not to build things that nobody will use. With our old system, we had way too many options that people never ever used. So it's just maintaining code that we don't need. Let's talk a little bit about targeted emails. So this allows you to create a segment within Managed Comics to use the Managed Comics email system to send emails out. So let's say that I wanted to create an email for both Batman and Deadpool customers to tell them about the Batman Deadpool comic. This will allow you to send out that targeted email to those people. We've actually adjusted this a little bit, and it's currently in QA again, because we've actually added the names of the items that are in the targeted list and allowing you to remove stuff. So if you create like a big list of 15 different things and it targets 65 people and you decide you want to remove some of those, you can. This will build. So like, let's say that I start out with 14 Batman users and then I add 2 Batman Beyond, but both those Batman Beyond are already in Batman, you'll only see 16. If I add Absolute Batman and half those customers are not Batman, then you're going to see probably like, 36 customers. So yeah, amazing. Doing that with Pullbox and MailChimp took forever. Yeah, and I think at some point we'll probably build the ability for you to create Shopify segmentations, which would mean that you could use the Shopify, really pretty emails to send these emails out. But for now, use the tools we have, and all this stuff should be live by the end of the week. It's literally in final QA. Disabling customer or subscribers. So right now it's a click box that I have accidentally clicked a number of times. We're changing it to a button technology, which is way, way cooler. And we're going to give you the ability to add a reason for disabling. So I think we have 5 options, which are like ghosted one is one of them. Temporary suspension, like if somebody's going away for a few months, they're in college and they're going back home. Permanent permanent disablement, and there's one I'm missing. And then you can give like a note on it to further back it up. So for example, I often will say that somebody ghosted us with 3 months of stock, so I know better that when they come back that I'm going to ask for a deposit before they restart a subscription list. Somebody in the UK mentioned that this data is customer data. It's not customer data. This is your data. This is no different than you having notes anywhere else in your system. They are not notes that are tied to a customer. These notes are tied to your managed comics subscription. So they are not part of the GRPD stuff. If that customer goes away, yes, you would lose any of the identifying characteristics of that customer, but you still have those notes. Those notes are important. Download improvements. So our download CSV now has both the subscriptions and the pre-orders when you download an all customers thing. So some people just like to see all of their subscribers and all of their pre-orders that are upcoming. So this will show that stuff to you. And we've just done a ton of different bug fixes, pre-order approval workflow fixes. There was a weird bug where it was like a certain series of things that would happen and it would trigger an accepted notice at the bottom. And if it did that, it would approve the last thing that you had approved again, which can cause big problems. It was a complicated thing to find, but an amazingly easy thing to fix. That is in this next bundle of things. Inventory drift, we think we've gotten a big control over this. This is actually a Shopify problem. It has to do with sometimes they do not properly move an item from reserve to draft. And you'll see like this happen 3 or 4 times. We've identified it with Shopify. Their solution is terrible. They want us to create a second location for each store and have all their subscription stuff go into that. That's ridiculous and needlessly complex, and I think makes the problem way worse. So our solution is just to add a bunch of auditing so that we can see stuff and then we'll know more. With this massive upgrade, we saw a ton of JavaScript insanity. The reason around it was a bunch of API stuff changed on the back end. I think it was with Polaris. I'm not totally sure what the problem was there. But we just had to fix a bunch of little things. People would say, hey, I can't move this button. And then we would fix the JavaScript. So relatively simple fixes, but there's like 50 of them that have been mostly promoted already. And we're adding more publishers. So we just added, I want to say like I added 30 some odd new publishers, and we've added a bunch of stuff to Universal that wasn't there. One of the things I'm working with Universal on is getting their actual list of distributor or publishers. We don't get that from anybody. We have to kind of figure it out every week. So it's really frustrating right now, especially with so much stuff missing from Diamond. Man, I'm halfway through, and I'm like maybe a third of the way through my slides. So this is going to be, we're going to have to rip through things. So Oryx is now live. It was basically us taking the still beating heart of Shopify out of Managed Comics and then redeploying it. Amazingly, Kirill, our like lead special projects developer, did it all in 8 days, and then we spent a couple weeks like testing things. And the thing that's taken the most time is really understanding RMH kind of processes and making sure that we have all of our it's very finicky about what its uploads can take. Right now we're doing everything with CSV uploads into RMH. Eventually we'll have a Windows service, but that's going to take a while because I really want to know, I want a deeper understanding of how RMH's internals work so that we can make sure that we're dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's before we're automatically sending things up. So, and honestly, I don't know if we'll ever get to a full, automated Windows service because we have a number of RMH users who don't have persistent internet connections. So they would have to be able to trigger it so that it could go. Managed Comics is obviously always on. So it's not a problem of Managed Comics sending the data back. It's more a problem of like getting that service to make sure it can connect. So there's some more work to be done there, but I think overall, it's mostly pretty good. We have all the features that from regular Managed Comics and a couple you don't. So we have a basic admin user interface. We also have customers in your Managed Comics database, which we don't have in Managed Comics with Shopify. We have RMH integrations, so there's a bunch of different RMH buttons. At some point, we're going to have like a trigger that says, are you using RMH or Lightspeed? Because we're going to use Oryx for our Lightspeed integration. Reason for that is with Ordo, we do everything to talk to Shopify, and then we would have to tell Lightspeed that Shopify has these products. With Ordo, we can actually say, hey, Lightspeed, you have these products. And then if you're using Lightspeed X with Shopify, then Lightspeed will tell Shopify. So we're going to have everybody who's using Lightspeed move to Ordo. You can still have Shopify on your account, but you're going to be using the different Ordo platform. And we've talked about a number of different platforms, but that is honestly a 2026 problem because we've got more than enough lined up for the rest of the year. We've had huge support from our partners at MCS. Sean and his wife have been amazing. They are handling RMH onboarding and they're walking people through, getting set up on Oryx. He has access to the Oryx backend, so he can actually create new stores. We've added 22 new stores, several with multiple locations, and there's quite a few that are going to be coming down the road. So really excited about adoption. Maintaining the two systems is a little bit complicated, but it's not super hard because the code bases are the same. We can usually just kind of bring things back and forth fairly easily. So it's not like maintaining an entirely different app yet. So what's next for us? We're still working on a backlog. Lots of stuff in the pipeline. We have a good user base under us, so we'll be expanding. Some of the things we're working on is self-serve signups. So we want people to be able to actually sign up on their own. This will let you sign up and begin onboarding. So we're building a very simple onboarding system as well. We'll have a lot more help. If you go to oryxhelp.managedcomics.com right now or click on help in the navigation, you'll see the skeleton of a help site, but we really need more pictures, more step-by-step. It's going to get better. Lightspeed integration, obviously. We are going to start with X and we may look at R and other stuff down the road. I know we have one client who has multiple stores and they use R. So, it might make sense for us to build this. We just need to see how simple it is to work with Lightspeed to get the first integration done. This one we have to do fairly quickly because we have marketing plans with Lightspeed that we kind of established back in August that we need to launch very soon. And I understand that R is important, but R is also end of life. So it's revenge of, darn it. It's end of life, and our development resources are so incredibly constrained that I'm just worried, we don't want to be building something that we throw away in 6 months. So we really need some more kind of understanding from the Lightspeed people to understand why. End of life of Lightspeed R. Lightspeed R is not being continued to be developed for, right? So they're doing patches and stuff, but nothing, no new features and stuff. They're moving everybody over to X. So it's not news though, Anna. We've talked about this. This has been true for quite a time. Lightspeed has talked about it for ages. This has been on their map for quite a while. That sucks. Yeah, so we'll have to look into this and see, what kind of is next. The other thing is we probably need to charge for this thing at some point, set up billing, start billing, pay more of my people so I can have more people working on things. So those would definitely be some things we're working on with Oryx. Exporting tools from Ordo. So we've got a lot of people who want to move from Shopify into our new stuff, and especially folks using Lightspeed and things like that. So we will definitely need some export tools. So yeah, if anybody's got questions, Anna, we should talk because you've heard this from me and I've heard it from Lightspeed people. So I'm definitely curious where you're getting information from. I'd love to know who your folks are as well. So we could definitely talk about your Lightspeed people and find out more stuff. While we're waiting for you to, Joe, I appreciate you too. We're waiting for more and any questions or anything. Great time to ask them. I've got a couple more things to talk about before I talk about my last thing. There's other stuff we're working on. The Comet standard is always going on. So I'm working with our Comet team. There's the 4 key people in it. And then we're working on getting some more meetings going with it. On top of that, we are working with multiple distributors to get their stuff compliant with Comet. I've also worked with a couple of individual publishers. Ignition Press is completely Comet compliant right from the gate. So this is a great project that I'm really happy to do the work on. And it's really cool. Managed Comics Classic. So it is officially dead as of the end of September. We haven't been able to update the data in it for a couple months now. So we need to migrate our final customers to Ordo or Oryx. But, I want to give a shout out to an application that lasted for 10 years that really helped build the foundation of what we do. And it's kind of sad. It's a bittersweet moment to say goodbye to it. If you want to know more about Managed Comics Oryx, get on the waitlist. So you just go to info.managedcomics.com or just managedcomics.com and click on Get on the Waitlist, which is right in the middle of the page. And we will get you hooked up. Let me just answer a few of these questions. Will Ordo for Shopify eventually become Oryx? We're pretty married to Shopify. Yes and no. If it does, it will not change fundamentally what you do. So everything will still be all Shopify oriented. What I could see us eventually doing is like make Oryx the core code base, and then have just Shopify would be another endpoint, just the same way Lightspeed or RMH are. But our intention is not to abandon Shopify. I said that like multiple times earlier. We have 250 customers. We couldn't be where we are right now without Shopify. This is just about giving people more options. We honestly should have done this a year ago when people were requesting it. In our initial email that we send out, we ask what your current system is and what your hesitation is to move on to managed comics. And like 3/4 of the people said they don't want Shopify. So there's two ways we could deal with that. We could either have kind of conversations and education about what it actually means, or we could just build another solution. And with Diamond removing Comic Suite, it kind of forced our hand. So we built a system as quickly as we could. Mike Rittenhouse, I'm sorry if you already answered this. Still using Comic Suite, ready to switch ASAP. When can I expect that to happen? So right now, Sean and I are working through the backlog as quickly as we can. We're at like 22 people. It took me 3.5 hours the other day on one phone call. So it's not something that we can just turn on. And there's a finite number of those phone calls I can have because I'm actually working on building the system. So yeah, that's our big problem. So building an onboarding system, I think, is going to help with that. And like I said, our self onboarding should help you get there quicker. We've kind of perfected our import processes. So yeah, Anna, I'm happy to talk to you about this stuff offline. Pulp Fiction, I think I'm patiently waiting to have an RMH and Managed Comics in hand situation for our POS. So Pulp Fiction, you guys are on the Shopify version, and that will not work with RMH. We haven't built any of those things. So you should reach out to me at help, and we'll talk about it later. Castle Perilous, Games and Books. What is Comet? Comet is the comics industry metadata standard, and it's a data standard that will help all of the distributors get their data in a uniform manner with all of the data that we need to actually be able to sell stuff in a consistent and meaningful way. So things like events are in there, things like more consistent creator codes so that we can have creator listings. There's a ton of really, really cool stuff. So yeah, if you should check out cometstandard.com if you're interested in what it does. And it is a open group, so we're always accepting more members. And yeah, I have a totally off the wall Comet question. Does Ignition serialization have any sort of reflection in Comet? It does not, but that's why it's a living standard, right? Yeah, things are constantly changing and evolving. If we're currently using Managed Comics, do we need it? No. Stay where you are. You're fine. Everything's fine. Don't change. No, everything's. If you're using Shopify, and you're getting value out of Shopify, then by all means stay where you are. If you're not using Shopify and you don't need the website components, then Oryx might be more up your alley. Do you have a best method for transferring customers and subs if we were going to multi-store from 2 separate Managed Comics stores? Marty, reach out to me at help@managedcomics.com. We'll talk about that. So that's one of the things we're building is exporting tools. We'll have to figure out how to do an import into Managed Comics with multiple stores, but it shouldn't be hard. And actually, I think, honestly, we can probably do it behind the scenes. You would still have to import your customers into your second Shopify, but I think we can probably just transfer your subs over. We might not be able to. Anyway, talk to me. We'll figure it out. Married in that our current TCG PO says, yeah, and your system is probably Binder. Yeah, absolutely. Don't care what Shopify will do. Sorry for being a headache. for you, but you weren't a headache at all. Paul is one of our new Oryx folks who's using the RMH Oryx stuff. So if you got questions, he's a good person to ask about. And, some of the things that you found were things that we just hadn't worked on yet. So it's great. And the best thing is when people like you find something, we can write documentation around it. And if it's a process problem, we'll write documentation around the process. If it's a technical problem, we'll fix the problem. So yeah, it's great. Comet sounds logical. I know, right? In comics, it's crazy. Yeah, and so Dragon Slayer is on binder pause until it dies. I know. Pulp Fiction, you're paying us through the Shopify version, but we'll talk. Maybe we can move you over to Oryx at some point. I don't have the export tools yet, so don't ask for that yet. We'll get it soon. So one of the big things that I'm working on personally right now is new help content. Our knowledge base is getting a massive upgrade. The people that do it, Groove, are changing us to something called Instant Docs. So next week they're taking our knowledge base and locking it for 3 days while they migrate everything over. I've played with their system and I kind of wish they would leave well enough alone. This is one of those things that I'm not trying to do. So yeah. So we have all new Oryx help. Oryx was built from the ground up to be multi-location because we had already written that code. So we're adding lots of screen captures and video, and it's got a different structure than our other help. I may be migrating that structure back. So we use a lot of things like workflows and things. With this, it's more like we're kind of integrating all the steps into the one thing so that you'll see things like prerequisites. So if you're on a check-in, for example, a prerequisite is making sure you have your invoices. So there's like, a little checklist that says, do you have invoices already? If you don't, here's where you go to get your invoices. Do you have this? Do you have that? It'll really, really help things out. Yeah, so Managed Comics 2 for Shopify is officially Managed Comics Ordo. So we've got to kind of update some of this information around here. Similarly, we will be updating with new screen grabs and things because a lot of things have changed since some of these articles are like 2+ years old. Also, we need to build 2 videos. I've been dragging my feet on it because I kind of want all of the new features to be done before I start recording videos, because a video takes me like a week to record and edit, and so it's a significant time investment. So yeah, once we get all of our stuff kind of stabilized, I'll do some new help videos as well. Craig is also working on a new website. It's a full visual refresh. There's going to be a lot less stuff on it, but I think it actually is a lot more succinct. One of the things I keep getting is like, what is Managed Comics? You guys are a POS, right? And we're not. We're the tool that works with any POS that you use. And over time, that's kind of my goal, is like, we want to work with the tools you work with. For the longest time, we just pushed Shopify on everyone, but there's people that use Square, there's people that use Clover, there's people that use restaurant stuff because they have a restaurant and a comic shop. So we want to help all those folks. So yeah, over time, Shopify is just like the thing that helps, or Managed Comics is the thing that helps you sell comics and eventually games and all the other stuff. And before we go, one more thing. I had to do a little Steve Jobs for this one because I'm super, super excited about this. I want to preface this by saying that what you're about to see is something that is going to be for Oryx, but the things that we're going to create in this are things that will eventually migrate over to our Shopify Ordo version. So because Oryx customers don't necessarily have websites, and certainly don't have a website that we can inject stuff into like we can with Shopify, we had to rethink it from the ground up. And I took literally a month where I did not talk to anybody about anything other than this. So if you guys were noticing that I was like basically gone for the month of August, this is what I was doing. It's all been, this is a HTML prototype, but it works. So if you go to oryxpreview.managedcomics.com right now, you will see it. Basically, it is a kind of standalone version of Managed Comics that uses all the modern data that we have now, has support for multiple covers, will have support for starting and stopping a series at a number instead of a date, all that stuff. Like I said, this will come to Ordo at some point, but let us build it first, and then we'll be able to move things around. It uses kind of modern look and feel using something called Tailwind, has categorization and all the stuff that you're used to. The publisher pages are a little more robust than before. Some of this stuff, it will probably not exist in the beginning. Like this will probably just be a distillery logo with the name. But over time, we're building the tools in the back end that we can have extra stuff. And yeah, we have also series pages so that you can see the entire series. And then we have issue pages where you can see an actual issue and all of its covers. I'm not sure if we'll get down to like the cover level because I still want this to be usable as a subscription tool. Creators, we have creator lists, so we'll be able to have all of our creator stuff here. And again, this will, in the beginning, just be the latest work and the name. But over time, I want to be able to add extra information. A search, we'll have a much better search than we have now. So your searches will come up and you can kind of subdivide. We're probably not going to get right to like high-end solar searching yet, but this will get us a fair ways there to help us with improving search. Yeah, so this is just kind of what things will look like in a nutshell. Every store will have their own look and feel. So when you're logged into Bob's Comics, the entire thing will look like Bob's Comics. And we're going to have an About Us page for every Oryx store so that they can have their thing. But this gets us the same ability as Shopify to like embed stuff without actually embedding things on 1,100 different websites, because somebody's got a Wix site, somebody's got a, I don't know, bobscontentmanagementsystem.com site. I don't know what they're. But yeah, this is actually being worked on now. So our first step is going to be to have just the products. This will also replace the current inline product tool that lets you pull up, you know, White House Robot Romance. This will pull up all the stuff and show you the distributor information. I actually need to do some work because I will have to include all the information for all the covers here somewhere if I want to make that, replace that thing. Yeah, that's our goal, is to have this thing replace our internal tools as well. I see a ton of Flurry. And like I said, you can check that out at oryxpreview.managedcomics.com anytime. And I'm going to answer some questions here because I see a ton of questions coming in. Christina, yeah, for sure. Ask away at the webinar, which we're doing in like 10 minutes. There's a monkey face. I'm not sure what that means. Looks nice. Is there an ability to choose what to feature? Yeah, so we will have retailer recommendations. We're also working on publisher recommendations as well. Great if we book a creator signing, we can direct customers to their upcoming books. Yeah, very nice. Oh, Craig, does this look good or not? Many sleepless nights were had. Be a widget we can use to add this to our store website. Yeah, for sure. And one of the key things that I really want, so I kind of buried some of the lead on this on it should be kind of obvious, but Previews World has become essentially useless. So in the industry, there is a lack of one place where you can get all new releases, one place where you can get all FOC information. We have that data. That data is on your website every week. We're updating that data 2 or 3 times a week. Why don't we make it available to everyone? So this will make it so that it is available everywhere. I need to find one view because we have a view. Oh, it's a search view. Batman. I just have to kind of make this view everywhere, but we have the ability to do list view or image view. Yeah, so the widget part of it will probably create widgets at some point for new releases and FOCs as well, so that people can just embed those the same way that Previews World used to allow you to embed new releases and stuff. Yeah, excellent question. Very happy to see this. It's a major component that was useful on Pullbox. Yeah, well, this is the thing that I've been pushing for longer than Pullbox existed. Back in 2015, when we built our first version of Managed Comics, it was because I had a version of this before it ever existed, and it sold a ton more comics than we would elsewise. And this thing is ridiculously more powerful than it was before. Yeah, we'll get it there. Like I said, it might not make it there this year because this is going to be a big undertaking to build. But all these things are things that I want to do. I missed signing up for the webinar. Will it be available afterwards? Oh, and you can jump into our webinar. It is Craig. Can you include the webinar in the messages? You can just enter a. Yeah, Craig says you can still sign up. It does now. So all of our stuff updates the release dates as they get updated. This is one of the key reasons why we want to we want to improve our Comet stuff, because right now we get release dates on FOCs, but we're not getting them consistently from everybody constantly. So we want to update that. Joe, not now. Someday. This is a data issue. There are currently 4 different Chip Zdarsky's in our system because Chip Zdarsky is named different ways, different times. So yeah, that's definitely something we want to do. All right. I think I will wrap up with what we have to talk about. I really should have just done the normal way of sharing a PDF. That's so much easier. Okay, so this is the last little bit. Where can you find me? So every Tuesday, I'm on Comic Industry Insiders Live, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. That is 11 a.m. Pacific Time. This week we had Philip Sablik from Ignition Press. But by the way, everybody see Murder Podcast this week? What a gorgeous book. It was so nice. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think I've sold half of what I ordered so far, which is really good. The Data Bros is my weekly-ish podcast. We haven't necessarily launched one in a while, but still my buds and I are getting back together next week to record a couple episodes. So it's about kind of the challenges of running a modern comic shop. They run the comics place in Bellingham, Washington. I run Earth 519 here in London, Ontario. So we talk. Meanwhile, the podcast, so we haven't updated any of these since November, I just noticed. So I'm going to go ahead and update all the previous episodes that I've done of these. And these will appear on our podcast. So you can just find it wherever you get podcasts. And our next webinar is at 4:00 today. Craig, I don't think I actually put that link in the webinar page. I will update that right away, and you can definitely join us. But that is going to do it for us this week. Thank you all for your patience with us. Comic Carnival, what we get out of the webinar, it's really just about you being able to ask questions. So if you got questions, that's where you can ask them for sure. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, Joe. You got one of our guys. And Craig says the webinar is basically a Q&A. You can ask whatever questions you might have. Thank you. Christina, if you're coming to the webinar, I'll see you there. I'm going to take 5 seconds and update our webinar page. So if you refresh the managedcomics.com/webinar page in like 2 minutes, you will see the date. So yeah, thanks everyone. And we will talk to you on the next one.